Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome everybody. This is Richmond Fire Department. I'm Battalion Chief Bailey Martin. I'm here with Captain Hallie Neville, Lieutenant Carlin Gibson, and we're here today just to basically make ourselves available as a department to provide some information on our current hiring process, answer questions, also just give a little bit of background on each of us personally, how we came into the fire department, some of our experiences since then, but we would love for it to be interactive. So if you're out there watching, I know we're a little late, but we don't really have a particular timeline, so we can stay here for a while and answer some questions and hopefully give you guys the information you're looking for. So I will start with Captain Neville. If you want to start, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself. And
Absolutely. So like you said, my name's Hallie Neville. I am a captain here with the Richmond Fire Department and currently assigned to Station 22, which is home of the Double Deuce, Engine 22, all-time favorite of the Richmond Fire Department. And I have been there for a couple of years now. And I've been in the department for 18 years, which everyone will tell you, or I feel like everyone will tell you that, like, your first year feels really long, and then 18 years feels like 1 year. It feels like I haven't been here that long at all. But I have been in for 18 years now. Started out at Old 17 on Bainbridge Street when I got out of the Recruit Academy, old grandma's house. That's how they told me how to find it. Just look for the house on Bainbridge. It looks like your grandma's house. It's a brand new station now. It looks beautiful on Semmes Avenue. But I started, when I first started here, I had actually gone to school for sports medicine and had played sports at VCU. I played soccer at VCU, and so I very much loved sports and I loved teamwork. And so when I was introduced to the fire department through actually a patient at the physical therapy clinic I worked at, the idea of it and the schedule of it and visiting a station, I just fell in love with everything about it, and from that point on it was my goal to get into the Richmond Fire Department. So it took a couple of application processes, which we'll talk about later in this Facebook event, but I did eventually get on, and now it's been 18 years and I wouldn't trade any of it, all of the experiences. So that is a little bit of my story. Lieutenant Gibson?
Could you, Captain, real quick, we've already got a question.
Oh, sure.
It's how does the basically the lateral hires work? They want to know, do you still need to take a test, that kind of thing. So
Yes.
since we have questions, if you want to go ahead and jump in and field that one, that would be great.
Yes,
and,
absolutely. So the lateral process, there is a testing process for the lateral process, and I actually, we got some information from our HR and Training Academy in reference to that. There will be CPAT testing for the lateral process. So not a testing like a written test portion, I believe, for the lateral class. I believe they just have a
yeah, we have the schedule here, so we're just kind of looking at the schedule.
I believe they just have a CPAT test, and if you've had a CPAT within the last 6 months and you still have your certification card, you can use that in lieu of taking the CPAT. And then they will set up lateral interviews sometime in August with that lateral class slated to start sometime early fall. Would be that. You would still go through a background check, and you would still need to provide all of your Virginia certifications, and you also, remember, with the laterals, need to have 1 year of professional firefighting experience in the state of Virginia, and that does not include your Recruit Academy time for that department. So make sure that you've got your ducks in a row on that, because that's one thing they'll be checking. Hope that answers your question. If not, write your next question back in.
He asked about a written test. You answered that.
Okay, great.
So I wrote that down. And I believe you can apply both ways,
Yes.
right? So
Correct.
you can apply as a lateral, which we are planning to seat that class sometime this fall, and they'll be in the field later this year. And then the new hire class, we still will take people with prior experience for that class.
Yes.
So for that process, there will be a written test, even if you have experience, because you'll be treated, everyone will be treated in the same group. So you can apply for both with the laterals, as long as, like she indicated, you pass the CPAT and meet the credential requirements. Then most of those, I believe, in the past have everyone's gotten an interview, and then you move on to some of the other processes. But for the new hire process, there is CPAT, a written test, and then interviews.
Yes.
So. I hope that answers your question. Looks like he said thank you, so
Okay.
I
And
think it did.
we have, thanks to technology, we also have an HR rep that we can text message. So if you do have some questions that we're not sure about, I've got one of our HR reps, I'm like right here, ready to go. The thumbs are warmed up. So,
All right.
okay.
So Carlin, you want to go next, I guess?
That's cool. Lieutenant Carlin Gibson. I'm currently signed at Engine Company 15, which is at Fire Station 15 in Highland Park. And I've been in the fire department for 13, almost and a half years. Started off at Station 13, which is on Commerce Road, and at the time was Quint 13. Spent about two and a half years there, then went to the rescue company 3, and the station together was the hazmat team for the city of Richmond. And I spent a few years there, and then traveled across to the other side of town, and became a member of Truck Company 1 for a few years, and then they transitioned into Truck Company 2. And so spent a few years there, and then in 2020, last year, got promoted to lieutenant. Thank you. And stayed on the C shift and was able to transition to Fire Station 15. And so working on my second year as a lieutenant, an officer in the fire department, so everything's coming along pretty good. So.
How'd you get into, I don't think I've heard your story about becoming a firefighter. Oh, yeah, wait, you have it. Yes, I have, and I love your story. So you have to tell that story.
So, as a kid, I always wanted to be a firefighter. Plenty of pictures throughout the years. And there was 2 options for me. It was either going to the NFL or being a firefighter. And so, my mom, my babysitter used to live on Wright Avenue, still does. And then we would pass 13 all the time. And so when they would go on calls, I would tell my Mom, follow the fire truck. She would follow the fire truck down the road to the calls and things like that. And as I got older, I was introduced to the Richmond's Fire Explorer program. And from there, it transitioned to taking some classes and meeting once a month. And they would talk to us about ropes and different things that the fire service had to offer, hold hand lines. And we would take trips out of town, vans to Alexandria, and participate in different activities with other fire departments in the state of Virginia. And I still was an athlete. I played football and graduated from Huguenot High School and went on to play college football. And while I was there, I had a knee injury and then kind of put some downs on my hopes of going to the NFL. And applied for the fire department.
But yay.
Yeah. Applied for the fire department in 2004 to take a test. I didn't make it. But I didn't give up. I applied again 2 years later in 2006. And everything worked out, transitioned on in. And so the time I finished college, I barely worked 1 month at Walgreens, and I was transitioned to the fire department. And that was February of 2008.
No looking back.
No looking back.
No
Dedicated, determined.
Yes.
You're right.
That's right.
So I guess it's my turn then.
Okay.
And we got another question about retirement in terms of, do we have VRS or can VRS transfer? I will say we have our own retirement system.
Yeah.
We are checking with our HR rep to find out if you can transfer time from VRS in here. So we'll get that answer for you. But we do have our own retirement system, and generally we have a couple different options that you can pick from, and it's 5 years to be vested in our program. And like I said, there's a couple of different options. We have a 20-year option. We have 2 fixed, what we call fixed, like fixed pensions, where you get a set amount at 20 years and 25 years. And then we also have another option. I think you're in that one. What's that other option called?
The 20-year option?
Or are you in the, it's more of like a 401k where
Yes.
You don't get a defined benefit at the end. But the city does match your contributions much like a 401k would work.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely, and that one is a 20-year plan. So you max out at the cities, like every 5 years they up the amount that they match for you or that they put in for you, and then you max out at 15 to 20-year mark. So it is what they term a 20-year retirement. You don't have to leave at 20 years, but your package completes itself, I would say, at 20 years, and you're eligible to start taking it at that point. And we did just get an answer, so just to confirm, we were correct, there's no written test for the laterals. And unfortunately, no, VRS does not convert towards the Richmond retirement system. So your time in VRS would stay at VRS basically, and then you would start with the Richmond retirement system. All right,
Okay.
hopefully that answers your question.
Yep. And certainly if anybody has any more, we're watching the comments, so just let us know and we'll be happy to answer any more that come down. So myself, my name is Bailey Martin. Like I said, I'm a battalion chief here. I've been here for about 19 and a half years. I have served in a lot of different roles during my time here. I started at Station 21 on South Side and spent about 5 years there. And then after that, spent a lot of time in what at the time, as Carlin said, we had rescue units. I was able to be a part of all 3 of our rescue teams at one point. As a firefighter, I was on our swift water rescue team. As a lieutenant, I was a part of our HTR team. And then I was captain of our hazmat team. I got to do got a lot of special training, a lot of great experiences, got to work with a lot of great people. And since becoming a chief, I have been in a lot of other different roles. I've been in administration, I've been ship safety officer and battalion chief for a couple of our battalions, which if you're new to firefighting, basically a battalion chief is in charge. For us, we have 4 battalions, and basically you're in charge of 5 firehouses in the city, in a certain area of the city. You kind of manage the firehouses and the companies in those houses, and then you're also the incident commander. So you're kind of the one on incidents, kind of making sure that things go smooth, telling people where to go, giving assignments, that kind of thing. So it's been a very rewarding career for me. I did not grow up wanting to be a firefighter. I grew up in Hanover, had a lot of friends that were volunteer firefighters, and had red lights in their cars and pickup trucks and beepers, so they were, at any given moment heading down the road at a high rate of speed.
You did not just date yourself at all with
they did.
beepers.
They did. They listened to scanners, the whole thing, and I was never thought about it. So I went to college, like Carlin, played sports all through high school, played football in college, ran off Macon. I've been in the Richmond area my whole life, so, but I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went in and got a degree, but didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I got the first job I could find out of college working for a bank. Did really well there, made good money, but it didn't take long to kind of realize that just wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. And started looking around, and it was actually my dad that kind of suggested the fire service. My stepmom was a volunteer firefighter in Hanover, and he just kind of hearing her talk about it, kind of thought it was something that would fit me, given that there's a lot of teamwork involved. I've always been athletic, I like to work outdoors and those kinds of things, and just thought it might be something that suited me. So I looked into it, talked to a lot of people, and Richmond was actually the only place I applied, and I was able to get on. So, and really haven't looked back. It's been a great decision for me, and I think that's part of why we're trying to do some of these meetings, is to kind of let people know, kind of get the word out there, because there's maybe a lot of people that are in jobs that they don't really enjoy or don't really feel are very rewarding for them, but have never really thought about the fire service. And that could be just because of what you've done with your life. It could be just because you don't know, a lot of people don't know, like we have Captain Neville here, a lot of women don't think that firefighting is for women, but we have a lot of women, and we have a lot of great women that do a great job. So, we want people to know that there's this opportunity, and in terms of, the reward that you get by helping others is just, to me, it's made it really worth it to me. I think I probably could have made a lot more money if I'd stayed in banking, but I know I was miserable. So when I think about that, I just think about how miserable I was and how much satisfaction and joy this job has brought me, and the people, all the people that I've met over the years has just meant more to me than I can express. So.
Yeah, it really is a family.
If you haven't thought about it, we would love to have, we're always looking for people, regardless of experience.
Yes. And that's a good segue into, so for the laterals.
I got one real quick.
Here we go.
So we got one. The question is, being 33. Being 33 is still a good age to try and jump aboard
Yes.
for my dream career.
Yes.
So basically, I think they're
Yes.
asking, am I too old?
No.
And you're not.
No, you're not.
I think I came on at 25, but we've had a lot of people. We've had people come on as early as 18, obviously, but.
I think the last one we had was about 55.
Yeah. Well, I came on.
I know at least 46. We've
Yeah.
had some.
I came in at 29, so I think 33 is definitely doable.
Especially
for
if
sure.
it's your dream job, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't let age deter you.
No.
It's really just kind of where you are in your life, and like I said earlier, if it's something that you're passionate about and really want to go for, then we certainly would encourage you to apply.
I will also encourage you. Tomorrow there is an information session at Station 17, which is at 2211 Sims Avenue, and I would encourage you to come by there. If you have time tomorrow between 10 and 1, because there'll be an HR representative, some firefighters there showing the CPAP video. We'll be talking about how to apply and actually giving a tour of Station 17 so that you can see what a day in the life looks like. So, as well as, we can talk a little bit more about it if you'd like to do that. Probably the biggest thing for people is just knowing getting into the training academy that you are going to be studying again. So for some people, like for me to come in at 29, I hadn't hit a textbook in a number of years. so just think about those things to start preparing yourself for the Recruit Academy. So that's the only advice I would give as far as an age thing is concerned.
And I would also say that sometimes this process can take a long time.
Yes.
Like for me, like I said, I only applied at Richmond, and sometimes we will hire multiple we'll hire multiple classes off of one application process. So I was the last class on my process to get hired.
That's what you did earlier.
And so it can take a while, but there are things like she said that you can do, if you wanted to, if you have access to a volunteer company, you can volunteer and start to get some of your skills, your classes ahead of time. Or EMT that seems to be a difficult class for a lot of people that don't have any experience. So if you're able to get that before you come, then that makes the academy experience that much easier for you. So I would definitely recommend if you're thinking about it, looking into that. But you don't have to have any of that. I didn't have any experience, and we're going to teach you everything you need if you're in the the new recruits class. So don't worry if you don't. But those are some steps you can kind of take to make that transition easier for yourself. We also had a question about how many vacancies are we looking to fill. I think, at least from what we've been told so far, we've been authorized to hire 33 vacancies from these two processes that we're doing, at least right now. We can, in the past, hold a list up to at least 2 years, so sometimes we may hire as many as 100 people off a list. Mm-hmm. But we are looking to maybe shift to where we are taking new applications, so that process will only shrunk down to 1 year. We're still working on that, but so I would say at least 33, but it could be more. There's a couple other factors that could make it more, depending on how things go. And I would say, from what we've been told, probably about 12 of those will be laterals. Yeah. The rest would be the new recruits or new hires.
The traditional class. In that class, they're looking and Chief Martin mentioned it, but just if we don't have any other questions right now, I'll just go into the length of the process. So for the traditional hires, laterals don't tune out, but for the traditional hires, it is going to be, the application process ends June 27th, and then you can start looking into training. We offer mentoring for the CPAP for about 2 months before you would take your CPAP. There's also going to be the written test. And so from the written test and the CPAP process, we make a list, and that goes into the interview process. So you're going to be looking at several months before you would end this process, the hiring process. So just to give you some time frame for you to understand what it looks like. And that first class of traditionals, not the laterals, because the laterals are a different process, but for the traditional class, that you're looking at possibly that starting like beginning of next year. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to figure out in your head a schedule with your current life of when things would change and how this moves. That's just something to keep in mind too, that you wouldn't actually be starting. And I think that it's been mentioned, but once you get into the training academy, that is a paid position. So you do get paid while you're being trained. And then it's about 26 weeks is what they're looking for this academy. And so you would be out in the field sometime by like middle of next year. I'd say like summer of next year. So that's just a little bit of a timeline for you.
And we do have a couple other questions. Well, we got a comment from one of our members that's watching when Chris asked about the age question. We did have someone, they said it, as old as 52 was in their recruit class.
There you go.
And then a couple of kind of how we run questions from Ed. We run 4 on every piece. And you asked about a BC aid. We don't have aids for our BCs currently. We did apply for a SAFER grant, and that's one of those things that I mentioned that could affect how many people we hire for this process. And I think that one of the stipulations, or one of the things that we were looking for with that SAFER grant, which would give us more positions, was to put 5 on all the trucks. So,
Right.
So that currently though we're 4 on everything. So I hope that answers your questions, Ed.
All right. I think so. So I believe we wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the processes and what the department is like for those. And this is applicable to laterals too. Lieutenant Gibson, I know you had made some notes about what the schedule is like for the city of Richmond, because we have a bit of a different schedule. Henrico is like ours, but there's not a lot of agencies around that do. We don't do the 1 on, 3 off. So if you want to talk about that a little bit.
So we work a 21-day cycle schedule, which ends up being 3 weeks. And I always look at it as though in that 3-week period of time, you at least work 1 of the days of the week in that week. So you got 3 weeks. It starts off on a Tuesday, goes to Thursday, Saturday, Monday, and Friday, Sunday, Wednesday. And it ends up being a total of 21 days. And while you're at work, you're there for a 24-hour period of time. So our report time is from 8 a.m. in the morning, and you leave the next day at 8 a.m. in the morning. So that's our work schedule that we follow.
Yeah, that first week is always hard. You know, that on 1 off 1 for 8 days. You come home on Tuesday morning, like I just need a day to recover. And then Wednesday you feel really good, and Thursday you finally are like, all right, I'm ready to go again. And then you work that weekend. But that 5-day break every 3 weeks is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing right there. So that is something to keep in mind though with childcare, and you know, we all have family, just to kind of trying to manage what that looks like. So keep that in mind too. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask them today or to stop by tomorrow and ask about those. How people handle it, because everybody does it a little bit different in being away from their family for that 24 hours. I know my kids have, you know, they might not have understood it as much when they were little, but now they love it because their birthday falls on like 4 different days now. It's whatever day mom's home, it's whatever day dad's home, and it's whatever day the family, like their extended family celebrates their birthday too. So they're like, this is the best ever. We get 4 Christmases and 3 birthdays and, you know, all of that good stuff. So there is some of that you need to look at.
I just want to be throwing it out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just in case somebody out there that might not know what CPAT is.
Oh, that's a good point.
CPAT is actually a physical agility test that you all come in and take when you go through a series of exercises in events, and throughout that process you'll be timed. And so if you complete those events in a series of certain times without any faults, then you will pass that physical agility test. So. And
then we do mentoring for the CPAT for 2 months, and that's a guaranteed. And you're allowed as many sessions. It'll be a sign-up schedule basis. There'll be staff there that will help you go through it. You could go and just do like, I just want to work on the maze or this portion of it or that portion of it. Working up towards completing the whole thing for your actual CPAT. And we had a couple of questions. I believe that Chief Martin is answering one for when the CPAT is slated to test.
Yeah. So for that, the mentoring sessions are scheduled for both processes to start basically at the end of this month. At the end of June, there's an 8-week mentoring process. So if you aren't familiar with CPAT, you can come practice once a week. And basically, I don't think you can run through the whole thing, but you can get a feel for the stations, the facility that we're going to be running it at, which is going to be in Henrico, and basically just getting you familiar with the process, and also kind of letting you see what you need to work on,
Right.
in terms of if there's any deficiencies you may have for it. And then the actual testing is scheduled for the laterals. It looks like tentatively for the last week of August. And then, but it's all going to be for both processes going to be done about the same time. So last week of August, early September is kind of what we're looking at for the actual testing process, if everything goes smooth in terms of getting the mentoring sessions up and running and everything. Because CPAT does require us to do that 8 weeks of mentoring
Yes.
before we can test as part of like they said, a standardized test. So it does have some rules in terms of when you administer it and how you administer it.
And I would say, I'm just interjecting, that the mentoring is huge for somebody who has not picked up a sledgehammer, for someone who has not picked up a fire hose ever before and seen and moved it and seen how that works. And that is why they're, to make it standardized, and when they were developing the CPAT and using it originally back in the 80s with LA, who started with it, they found that the mentoring was crucial because it's technique. It's not necessarily overall strength and endurance that you have. You could be Superman and still, if you just getting and running through some of those things and getting your body used to how these things move and how you move with it is a huge part of passing the CPAT. So I highly encourage you to practice as much as you can, because that technique is a big part of passing the test.
But also from a fitness perspective, I would just say until that starts, we
Yes.
still have a few weeks until that starts.
Yes.
The thing that generally is the hardest part of that is the test begins with a stair climb, and the whole
Yes.
test is done with a weighted vest to simulate wearing your turnout gear and your SCBA. So if you have access to a vest or stair mill, I would recommend starting that now, or stairs. There's if you have a high-rise building you have access to, or Libby Hill is a great place in the city that a lot of people go for stairs. But that part generally taxes you and kind of sets the tone. If you can't get, even if you can get through that part, if you're too fatigued to do the rest, then that's a big hindrance for a lot of people. So
That's a very good point.
So that's something you can start now that you don't really need a lot of equipment for. We also had a question about the lateral pay rate.
Yeah.
If they're paid more, and they
Yeah.
are paid more. I didn't want to quote a specific figure because I don't have it right in front of me, but
I'll get it.
I feel like it's
I think it's 46.
46,000, I believe.
Yeah.
So about 3,000 more than the normal starting pay.
Yes,
And
but
we'll
I will
get
pull
we'll
it
get
up.
a specific answer for you on that, Jason, here in a second. So
All right. Hold on 1 second.
46.1 is what we're being told.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
46.1.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So we still got a lot of people watching. Did we have any other things that we wanted to? I mean, we're certainly here for quite more questions.
Yes.
But we also wanted to kind of. I think Hallie mentioned the open house this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly, if you have questions, especially if you aren't from the fire service, but if you are, it's just another opportunity for us to be available to answer questions, introduce you to the fire service if you don't have any experience or want to know more. We also have recently tried something new, which Captain Neville was able to be a part of, and we're doing some podcasts. We feel like kind of like we all kind of indicated, we all have our own little story of how we got here and how we became interested in the fire service, and we've all had our own experiences in the fire service. So we started a podcast recently, just got released a few days ago. I think there's 5 episodes up right now that kind of just interview some of our members and talk about kind of their background. You have all different kinds of people in our department, which we're really proud of. And even myself, not a lot of people I interviewed I didn't know personally before interviewing. We hadn't had a chance to work together or whatever. So I was able to learn a lot about them and found out some really interesting things about where they came from before the fire service. So if you want to know a little more about, kind of get a little more gauge of our department and how it is here, I think that's a great way to start. And we're planning on recording and uploading some more episodes in the future, and hopefully before the process is over as well. So just something else, just kind of a little plug. It's on our department. You can find it on any of our social media platforms have links to it, but also on our department YouTube page, they're all on there. So
Absolutely. There was a couple things too. That you do not need to be a city resident as a point of hiring or being a city firefighter. If that was something you were wondering about, and also just to mention some of the minimum requirements this is for traditional hires. Obviously laterals are going to be a different set of requirements, but for the minimum requirements for traditional hires, you are going to need a driver's license, a valid driver's license, no more than 6 demerit points on your DMV record, high school diploma or GED equivalent, a no felony background or anything that would hinder you from becoming an EMT in the state of Virginia. And there are some links on our website that will show you what some of those things are so that you can prep and know exactly what you're getting into. And just also as a point of reference, and I will see if we can put them in the comments, if you need to get to our information or the links for the application process, you can go to www.rva.gov and you can search Fire Recruit in the search on that screen, and that will take you to our page. And then we work through NeoGov, which is governmentjobs.com. So you will need, all communication will take place with you through that email and through that application process. So www.governmentjobs.com, and it would be /careers/Richmond. You could search Fire Recruit on there as well, and it'll take you to our link. And then once your application is submitted, all communication will be from Government Jobs to you with emails referencing like your application has been accepted, the written test will be, et cetera, et cetera. So please make sure, and if you don't have access to a computer, you should be able to do it on your tablet. We have asked HR to confirm that you can fill this out on a tablet or a phone. You do need to make sure that you put in your valid email address because you're not going to get any communications otherwise. And please, please, please review your application thoroughly before you hit submit. You will not get notification if you have not submitted it correctly. You will just find out on June 28th that you didn't get accepted. So please make sure, have somebody look over it, answer every question thoroughly. If it says, attach this or, write 4 to 5 sentences about this, please make sure you're filling out everything completely when you fill out that application.
And one thing I like to add to make sure that everybody's on the same page, that we're hiring for 2 different processes. One is a traditional, folks who don't have any fire service background, and then we're hiring for a lateral. So it's 2 different processes. So make sure when you fill out your application that you fill out the right, you click on the right actual job that you're trying to apply for.
There's 2 listings on you.
You gotta be from Virginia.
No, you have so just to answer the question for Ed, the lateral process is for Virginia firefighters only. So your California states would not, you would need to go, your California cert would not qualify for the lateral process. You would want to apply through the traditional process, which would require another academy, but you're already going to have a background, so it won't be hard. So don't let that deter you. And we've actually had a lot of candidates come from California. Lateral hires for the city of Richmond just started 2-3 years ago, something like that, three years ago. But we've had a lot of firefighters actually come from the West Coast. We've had a lot of we've had people apply from all over, which is interesting and awesome. So like we said, we got a lot of people from a lot of areas, a lot of diversity.
And we got one of our other battalion chiefs just wanted to remind people that the resume does not take the place of the application. You can attach a resume, which gives us a better picture of who you are and your skills and everything. I think there's a place for that, and also copies of your certifications and things. But you still have to fill out all of the specific parts of the application.
Yes.
And from what I remember of the process, also kind of an entry for each of those certifications in the application process.
And your job history, because I have seen many moons ago I used to help with this process, and you would see where the people would have very like large blanks in their job history. So just all of those things, just everything you're reading should have some answer for it. So make sure you're filling in everything completely. And I'm not trying to plug the open house as much as I am, but I'm gonna plug it again because we're actually gonna have an HR representative there doing a PowerPoint instructional or tutorial on the NeoGov process and that application process. So if you're in the area and you're interested, it's going to be, she's going to do it. We're going to be there from 10 to 1, but she's going to do it at the top of every hour. So you don't need to be there from 10 to 1 to catch it. You can come at 10, 11, or 12 to catch that. All right, what else do we have, gentlemen?
Yeah, and that if you that part is critical. You know, we use that process for our promotional process as well, and we have had even people that work here have problems with completing, you know, not looking at it carefully, and that preventing them from being able to apply for a promotion. So it isn't, you know, hate to like belabor that point too much, but definitely something you want to pay attention to every detail. Double, triple check it before you hit that submit button.
Right.
Double check it.
Yes.
Have someone else check it.
Yes, and that, yes.
2 or 3 or 4 people check it.
Exactly right. And the libraries are back open, so if you do, if you would rather fill it out on a computer and you only have a tablet or a phone, but you want to have it on a computer and you can see it on the bigger screen, the libraries are back open, so you can go to the libraries and use the computers at the libraries in case you need one. So just as a little extra.
All right, I think that's most of our stuff that we had to cover, but we're happy to stay here if there's some more questions or
Or if they want to post the questions, we can answer them later.
yeah, if you just want to post them.
So this will post onto the page once you guys are done. So if there are any other questions, I'll be monitoring them and I'll let you guys know.
Okay. All right, so
Sounds great.
we have our public information officer, Amy Liu. She just said that, you know, basically I think we're going to sign off, but she's still going to continue monitoring this. So if anybody has any questions, just write them into this. If you're watching this video, write them in, and then she will, you know, attempt to answer those as we go on. And we did get another question just while we're sitting here. Do you want to field that one? Do you know?
Yeah, I will field it as best I can. Hi, Crystal. There are no medical disqualifiers at the time of application. However, you will pass, or you will need to pass before you could start at the academy if you make it through some of the other processes or the other processes. You will go through a medical screening and a physical, not a physical fitness, but a physical with a doctor, where that would be examined further. But it should not, as long as you're managing, that should not preclude you per se. So that would just be something. And if you want to reach out, you can call headquarters and ask for me, or you can call 64. What is Miss Brazier's phone number? Do we remember? 54. I'm gonna get our HR representative's phone number, which I believe is on our Facebook feed as well. As on the flyers that says if you have any questions, call this number. If you want to get a little more in depth into that question, you can reach out to us personally and we'll help you handle it.
Should we also tell
It's
them?
646-804-646-5434.
Should we also talk about Saturday being in Southside Plaza?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we got another question real quick
Sure.
that I'll answer about staffed rescues for technical rescue. We have we went away from in the past we did have rescues for each specialty. Now we do have a rescue company that does HTR. They are not a frontline company. They're they're I guess you'd say like shared crew. So they run as an engine and a truck, but that whole house does respond for technical rescue incidents. So if they have a technical rescue incident, then they typically will leave one of the frontline pieces behind and take all of the technical rescue equipment. We have a box truck and a rescue. But yeah, we do have a technical rescue team. We're part of the Metro Richmond technical rescue team. So we participate in a rescue challenge and regional training with the other tech teams in the area to make one large regional team.
To speak to Lieutenant Gibson's point, we actually do have another event tomorrow, and I'm glad you brought that up. For those of you, if you can't make 10 to 1, but you have some more questions, or would like some more information, or would like to attend an awesome job fair / vaccination event, there will be Lieutenant Gibson will be out Southside Plaza tomorrow with the City of Richmond and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. They're hosting a vaccination / job fair. If you get a vaccination tomorrow at Southside Plaza, there should be, I believe at this point, 25 vendors / restaurants, and they will buy you lunch after you get your vaccination. And they will also be hosting the job fair that Lieutenant Gibson will be attending with another city HR representative. And actually, Firefighter Cody Oliver from Station 11 will be there to answer a few questions as well. So if you are out and about, that's actually from 10 to 4 tomorrow, and that is 4100 Hall Street, and that is in the city's beautiful south side.
So say!
Right down the street from the Double Deuce, just pointing out. So, all right, anything else?
I think that, we got one more. Is there time in service required to join the HTR team? I think that's, we've done a lot of different ways. I don't know that there's a particular time of service. We have had people that have been assigned to Station 10, which is where our HTR team is, straight out of the academy, particularly if they have a lot of their certifications already. We're always getting all the state classes and certifications is always a challenge, so sometimes you may have to wait till your probationary period is over, but we are always looking for volunteers at those stations for all of our specialties. So generally, if you have some experience previously and you want to be a part of those teams, you can generally end up getting to those teams even if you don't get to go there directly.
Yep.
But we have had, I know of at least a couple laterals that we had that had some pretty extensive HTR experience that were able to get over to those teams pretty quickly. So I would say there's definitely hope for that.
Yeah, and you may see sometimes too. You'll see them go to the engine first at those double company houses, so that they're not, if they haven't been part of a truck company before, so that way you transition over to a new assignment, and it's not also been trying to load on truck company operations as well. So you can see it done a couple of different ways, but yep.
I got another one. If you possibly misreviewed something on here.
Yes. Yes, you can. So if you hit submit and then you're like, oh no, I think I did this wrong, or if you print it off and you've already hit submit and you read it and you go, oh, I didn't write that the right way, you can reapply, but NeoGov won't let you reapply under that same email address. Like you would have to you'd have to get a new email address, or if you have a secondary email address, and use that to reapply. So.
And you can't after the deadline.
Not after.
Only
no,
before
I'm
the
sorry.
deadline.
Yeah.
She has June 26th.
At June 26th. No, once it closes on June 27th, that's it. So that's why we're belaboring the point. Please make sure you check it, because at whatever it is, midnight on June 27th, or whatever that cutoff time is on that January 27th, that's it. That's you're waiting another year.
And push come to shove, we do have some other resources. Like I know we gave our HR rep's phone number. If you have problems with the application, call us, and we can try to make some give individual assistance if it's needed. If you have a question, or you're not understanding something, then call us before the deadline, obviously. But and we'd be happy to see what we can do to help you make sure that that's done accurately.
Yeah. And we'll talk to our HR representatives too, if there is any way to maybe link the NeoGov PowerPoint after tomorrow, maybe kind of link it to our website, or we'll figure something out, and if we are able to, we'll make sure that everyone has access to that too. So.
And we ask you, please apply.
Yes.
I did it. Chief did it.
Yes.
Captain did it.
Yes.
You can do it.
There you go. There you go. My guy Kiwan's out there. I like it. You can reach higher with Richmond Fire. I mean, where you been hiding that one, Kiwan? That's gold right there. Come on. So that's gonna be my new slogan, I think.
Wow.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and if you, like I said, if you have other questions, we've given you information on how to contact us. You can always comment on our social media pages as well, or we hope to see you at some of those events that we mentioned. So thanks a lot.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
See you later.